If fear is holding you back when it comes to starting or growing your t-shirt, apparel, or print-on-demand business, this episode is for you. I'm of the belief that there would be a lot more successful brand owners if they focus less on pure strategy and actually allocated some of that time to strengthening their belief systems. So in this non-strategy episode, I'm going to be revealing 5 powerful lessons that I learned on my own journey to building a 7-figure brand that strengthened my mind and as a result, my business. My name is Adrian Bonarks, here with my co-host, Kerry Egler. Welcome to the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to the show. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. This is going to be a not strategy episode. Y'all know we talk about strategy a whole lot around here. However, we're doing something a little bit different because I'm truly of the belief that there would be more successful entrepreneurs in the world if they spent just some of that time on strategy, on actually building up their belief systems. So we're going to be focused much more on that in this episode. There's a lot of things I wish I knew earlier on my entrepreneurial journey to building a multiple 7-figure print-on-demand business. And I hope these lessons can help you moving forward. But before we jump into the lessons for today, Kerry, what's going on, my friend?
What is up, Adrian? Hope you're doing well, man. I'm doing good over here. Weather's getting better. Excited. It's getting warmer. It rained for a long time. Now it's like getting warm. So I love that. Already ready for summer. Let's just skip spring.
Love it. All right, man. Well, what do you say we jump into the meat of this episode?
Let's get it, man. I love mindset. Not something we talk about a ton, but you put together these notes, and you always have really good stuff on mindset. So I'm really excited to learn from some of these notes and hopefully offer some of my own advice as well.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm really excited to have you kind of like jump in and share your thoughts too. So yeah, we're going to talk about 5 lessons. These are really lessons that have really impacted me a lot throughout my own entrepreneurial journey across all my different businesses. And so my hope is that our listeners can take these and learn from them and hopefully avoid making a lot of the mistakes that I made and you probably made, Kerry, when you first started out. So let's just get into it. I'm going to jump into number 1. This one is huge. Like, this is some of the top advice that I give to people on the fence about going into entrepreneurship, even if it's not in print on demand, whatever the business it is that you want to pursue, this is one of the top pieces of advice that I give, and that is to start before you're ready. So I have a lot to share on this topic. What I'm going to do, I'm a huge reader. I read a lot of books. A lot of kind of development books, business books, stuff like that. So I'm going to be sharing some of those books throughout, and I'm actually going to be referencing some of the content, some of my favorite content that I cherry picked from some of these powerful books, and kind of sharing them in the lessons. I'm going to sprinkle them into the lessons today. So in terms of start before you're ready, this is some of the best advice I ever received as an entrepreneur. And I wish there was someone hounding me with this advice when I was on the fence. Like, for so many years, I was this unfulfilled cubicle dweller. And I knew that there had to be more to life. It didn't matter how much money I made. I just never felt fully fulfilled. I felt like something was missing. And I learned later that I just wasn't living my personal legend, which is a reference to the book, The Alchemist, which is a great book for entrepreneurs. But I was born with the entrepreneurial spirit. And I know you were too, Kerry. And my guess is that every single person listening to this podcast was also born with the entrepreneurial spirit. What I can say is, if you were blessed with that, it doesn't go away. Like, you always want to be an entrepreneur. And no matter how long you hold off, I truly believe that eventually you're going to do it. You're going to jump in and you're going to take action, or This is a much worse case scenario that I don't want for anyone, is you're going to have regrets later down the road. You're going to be like, a lot of time passed. I had a lot of opportunities. I could have started any day and I just let it go. And now the clock is ticking and it's too late. And I just don't want that for anybody. So that's my number one piece of advice. Hey, I wanted to let you know that my free print on demand masterclass is now available on demand. On that training titled How to Make Your First $10,000 in Sales with Shopify and Print on Demand, I reveal the exact strategy that I used to generate multiple millions in sales across 2 apparel brands and have helped many others implement as well. If you're totally new to POD, this should give you a clear path to sales and profitability. And if you're a POD veteran, this is meant to help you multiply your growth faster. There, I also discuss how you can get direct coaching from myself and Carlos through my beginner training and coaching program, T-Shirt Legends Academy, if that's something you're interested in. You can check it out by clicking the link in the show notes below or go to ecomlegendsacademy.com/grow. And now back to the show. I heard a really powerful speech from Jen Gottlieb, which it really had a positive impact on my life and my entrepreneurial journey ever since I first heard it. And I'm hoping that it'll have the same impact on our listeners. So I want to share what she said. It's a pretty quick soundbite from her, but she said, "Start before you're ready. Don't prepare, begin. The enemy is not your lack of preparation. It's not the difficulty of the task or the state of the marketplace or the emptiness in your bank account. The enemy is resistance. The enemy is your chattering brain, to which, if you give as much of as a nanosecond, will start producing excuses, alibis, transparent self-justifications, and a million reasons as to why you can't, shouldn't, won't do the thing you know you need to do. Start before you're ready." Every time I read that, it gives me goosebumps because I wish I read this when I was on the fence for so long. Inevitably, I was going to make that jump. And inevitably, most people with the entrepreneurial spirit are going to make that jump at some point. It doesn't mean they have to quit their job or leave their career. It just means that they're going to jump into entrepreneurship, maybe as a side hustle, or maybe to build out as a full-time career in the future. There's some more I want to share on this topic, but Kerry, I want to hear your thoughts so far because I'm sure you wish you heard this advice as well.
Yeah, man. I don't even know where to start on this because it's like it's my motto. I help people start businesses and grow businesses and stuff, like online businesses, and it's my motto: taking perfect action.
Right.
Start before you're ready, like you said. I really believe in it, and I just think people get so crippled by inaction because we want things to be perfect. We want them to meet our expectations, and it just it causes that crippling procrastination. We never actually take action. It's like I think everybody has ideas, and we have things that, oh, this would be awesome, I'd love to do this, or this would, you think of these good ideas, you're inspired by things, but like it all just means nothing unless you actually start, unless you actually take action. And I just think like the better you can get at acting on things, like you will be rewarded for that. It's just, I think about just having more tries at bat, right? Like you're in a
Right.
baseball game, the more times you get up to bat, the better chance you have of getting a hit. You know what I mean? If you only
Mm-hmm.
get up there once and you got three strikes, then it's over. Like, you might hit one of those balls, but like the more times you get up there and you keep getting back up to hit more balls, right? The more opportunities you have. And so, it's not always going to be your first business that is the big success, or your first design, or your first Shopify store, or whatever. We could go through whatever. It's not always going to be that first one, but how many times are you willing to just continue to start, continue to take action, continue to keep trying until you find that success you're looking for. Yeah, so I'm just total believer in this. It's kind of like it's one of the biggest things that I live by
Right.
when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And not only that, so many other different areas of life that it pertains to, right? But yeah, I love it.
Yeah. That kind of goes in line with another quote that I really love. There's going to be a lot of quote dropping on this episode, just so y'all are prepared. But a quote I really love is that knowledge is not power. Knowledge applied is power. Like, I know there's a lot of listeners who have been listening to this podcast for a while, and they've probably binged some episodes, or they spent hours hanging out with us, which we love. Everyone has a seat at this table. We love you guys. However, I want to hold your feet to the fire a little bit here, and I want to challenge you. Like, take this knowledge and do something with it, because if you're not, someone else is, and that should be and could be you. But you have to start somewhere. And kind of as I wrap up this kind of first point, I want to share another quote that I heard, and that is that action brings clarity. I 100% agree with this. You're going to have a lot of questions at the beginning. There's going to be a lot of things that you're not going to know what to do, how to do. You're going to have questions about your brand and whatnot. Here's the thing. Action brings clarity. Your brand is going to evolve over time, whether you like it or not. And it might actually, you can do all the planning in the world and you can take all this action, and it probably will look different in a year, because what we teach is that you should be looking for what your target audience is looking for and serving them. Serve them what they want, right? Give the people what they want with your designs, with your content, with your communications, email, everything, right? And so you don't need to see the whole staircase, just see the next step. That's really what it comes down to. So just remember that action brings clarity. And as you start taking action, things are going to become more clear. Your brand direction is going to become more clear. So before I jump to lesson number 2, I actually want to share an excerpt from one of my absolute favorite books in the world. This is the book that I credit for making me take the leap into entrepreneurship. I read this book 13 times, and I think I read it about 10 times before I actually became an entrepreneur. I used to listen to this on the way to work and be like, one of these days, that's going to be me. That's going to be me making money while I'm laying on the beach. And eventually it was, with a lot of hard work and dedication and consistency. But the book is called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I recommend it to every single human with the entrepreneurial spirit. Like, make this a staple in your library. And there's a couple questions that he challenges you on in the book. And I want to share this with you guys because I was on the other side. Like, I was the one working an unfulfilling job so badly, wanting out. I wanted to exit. I wanted to get out. And for so long, I was hoping someone would just drop an opportunity in my lap that would allow me to quit my job and start a business, or, co-found a business. But no one came. No one ever came. And what I realized is that no one is coming to save you. Like, we have to save ourselves, and you have to be your own hero. This is a powerful lesson I learned from another book called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, another staple. But once you realize that, I think it's more empowering, and I think people are more likely to take the action. So here's what it says. All right. I'm just going to read straight from the book, this excerpt, because I personally think it's very powerful, and I hope it has an impact on you as well. So it's a couple questions that he says in the book. The first question is, what are you putting off out of fear? And here's what he says. Tim Ferriss. Usually what we most fear doing is what we most need to do. That phone call, that conversation, whatever the action might be, it is fear of unknown outcomes that prevents us from doing what we need to do. Define the worst case, accept it, and do it. I'll repeat something you might consider tattooing on your forehead. What we fear doing most is usually what we most need to do. As I have heard said, a person's success in life can usually be measured by the number of uncomfortable conversations he or she is willing to have. Resolve to do one thing every day that you fear. That's the first question he asks. Here's the second question. And this is such a throwback for me, because I literally remember reading these at the point where I was like, I so badly want to be an entrepreneur, but I wasn't yet. So here's number 2. What is it costing you? financially, emotionally, and physically to postpone action. Don't only evaluate the potential downside of action, it is equally important to measure the atrocious cost of inaction. If you don't pursue those things that excite you, where will you be in 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years? How will you feel having allowed circumstances to impose itself upon you and have allowed 10 more years of your finite life to pass doing what you know will not fulfill you? If you telescope out 10 years and know with 100% certainty that it is a path of disappointment and regret, and if we define risk as, quote, the likelihood of an irreversible negative outcome, inaction is the greatest risk of all. That was question number 2 that he posed.
I love
And
that one.
Kerry, your thoughts before I jump into number 3. Like, is this not giving you all the feels, man? Like, oh,
Yeah, I love that
so
one. I
relatable.
love that one. It's such a good reminder. We don't think about it. I've heard this before for sure. I guess I've not read the 4 Hour Work Week. I know it's like that's like a sin. I'm confessing my
Oh,
sin to you. I know it's so good. I know it's like a number one book for every entrepreneur. But I have heard that point before of just like really just flipping it on its head, because we always think like when we're thinking about a new business or taking a risk, it's like a risk. It's like what risks are there, but you reverse it and it's like what is it actually costing you to not do it? And that's such a good perspective.
yeah, man. I think about it. I've been an entrepreneur, self employed, working for myself full time for almost 10 years now, which is like
Crazy.
wild to imagine. And I can't even imagine if I had held off 10 more years, I
Mm,
would still be working my unfulfilling job, dreaming of a day that I could have more freedom in my life, more time with my family, more just security of my that I'm
yeah.
creating and my own freedom and flexibility. And I want that for everyone with the entrepreneurial spirit. Like, I really want everyone to win. I think there's enough room for all of us. Everyone just find your space and own it. Just stick a flag in the sand and say, this is where I'm gonna master, this is where I'm gonna dominate, and this is where I'm gonna move forward with. So let me share the third question that he poses here, and then we'll jump into lesson number 2. The third question is really simple. What are you waiting for? Here's what he says in the book. If you cannot answer this without resorting to the previously rejected concept of good timing, the answer is simple. You're afraid, just like the rest of the world. Measure the cost of inaction, realize the unlikelihood and repairability of most missteps, and develop the most important habit of those who excel and enjoy doing so: action.
Mm,
Boom. That is just like, oh, I love these. I love this excerpt of the book. And I love this excerpt of the book, particularly for the people that are on the fence and haven't taken the action yet, because he makes such a strong case here. And he's not saying you have to quit your job to get into entrepreneurship. He's saying just take action. Like, it's okay if you work a full-time job, if you can make the time to work on this. Like, a lot of my students, a lot of your students, they're building amazing businesses while working full-time jobs, many of them raising families as well. So, Kerry, your thoughts on that?
it's so good. I just want to add on this whole section. The only thing I wanted to add is the point of this first section: start before you're ready. Like, I just want to, I guess, encourage people out there, like with this, you're never going to be ready.
Truth.
You're never gonna feel ready. So, and specifically, I guess tying it into this like last point here of what are you waiting for? Like, we always have an excuse of what we're waiting for: more time, more money, more whatever. And it's like you're never gonna be ready. You're never gonna hit that point where you're like, holy, what? You just wake up one day and you're like, I have all the time in the world, and I don't have kids, and I don't have bills, and I have all this extra money. Where did all this money come from that I could now start a business with? Like, it just doesn't work like that. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And so yeah, what are you waiting for? Like, there's always going to be excuses. There's always excuses. And I can just tell you, I'm with you, Adrian. I haven't been working for myself quite that long. It's probably been 8, 9 years, something like that. I'm right behind you. But still to this day, I think about things that I want to do and where I want to go. And I just think, I'm just not ready. I
Right.
still say that. Like,
Right.
I still deal with that. And it's just like, man, just got to take action.
100%. 100%. Yeah. I really like what you said there. Totally agree. You never will feel ready. And that's why action brings clarity. Just start by taking action. It's going to feel really good getting those small wins at the beginning, like choosing a niche, building a website, marketing, all these things, right? It can be a lot of fun too. All right, let's jump into lesson number 2, and that is to honor the struggle. So I'm going to reference a couple authors slash gurus, mentors here from books I read. The first one I want to talk about is a book called High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. And this book emphasizes that high performers honor the struggle by recognizing challenges as opportunities for growth and development rather than obstacles to be avoided. It's just a mindset shift. It's seen the same thing. They say that if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I really feel that way. Like if you can flip your mindset from a place of scarcity to a place of abundance, you're going to see the exact same scenario so much in such a more clear light and an exciting and inspiring light as well. So I want to read a little bit from a couple of little excerpts from this book. There's not that much, but I want to talk a little bit more about honoring the struggle, because I promise that everyone that's in entrepreneurship, you're absolutely going to have struggles. You will have struggles. It comes with the territory. If entrepreneurship was some super easy thing where everyone could be a millionaire overnight, everyone would be rich, everyone would be an entrepreneur, and there would be no one working jobs, right? Because they could all just get rich really, really quick. It's not the way it goes. Like it doesn't happen overnight. But if you have the entrepreneurial spirit, you'll probably have the resolve to kind of see things through. But I do think it's important to set that expectation that there will be struggles. And if you're willing to work through those struggles and to think of those as opportunities for growth, it's going to help you so much in the long term. So here's what he says in the book. Why honor the struggle? First, growth and development. Struggling pushes you beyond your comfort zone, leading to increased resilience, adaptability, and ultimately higher performance. Secondly is resilience. Instead of giving up when faced with setbacks, high performers view them as learning opportunities and fuel for continued effort. Third is deeper understanding. The process of overcoming challenges fosters a deeper understanding of oneself, one's strengths, and weaknesses, leading to more effective strategies. And lastly is motivation. Recognizing that struggle is a natural part of the journey can help maintain motivation and focus, especially when facing difficult tasks. And then he talks about how to honor the struggle. And this is what he says about it. Embrace challenges, persist, learn from mistakes, seek feedback, practice self-compassion. That's huge. Celebrate small wins and find someone to fight for. That reminds me of a quote that I think I came up with. You never know when you come up with quotes, but there's a quote that I came up with not too long ago, and I'm sure someone else has said it, but it comes down to it's all about finding your why. And that quote is, the stronger the why, the harder you'll try. And this really aligns with that find someone to fight for. Like I'm fighting for my family, I'm fighting for my future, I'm fighting for like freedom, I'm fighting for everything, right? You just put it all out on the table there when you when you step into entrepreneurship, especially when it's your full-time career. And most successful entrepreneurs I know, they're in it for more than just the money. Money's great. We want everyone to have financial abundance, but there has to be more to it. What I find is that when people only care about money and jump into entrepreneurship, they're the first to drop out. It's just like quick in, quick out, because there was nothing keeping them there. They weren't fighting for anything except for money. And, when I ask my students and ask other people why they actually want this, why they want to be an entrepreneur, most of them don't just say money. Like barely any of them ever say just money. A lot of them, they want to retire their spouse. They want to put their kids in college. They want to retire. They want to spend more time with their family. They want to, there's all these amazing, incredible reasons, things for people to fight for. And I support that. I want that for people. And I want to encourage anyone listening, like find what you're fighting for and really, really tie emotion to it and lean in. Like use that as your fuel to push you through everything. Anytime, know that there's going to be setbacks, expect setbacks, look at them, flip them, and look at them as opportunities for growth, and remember who you're fighting for. Kerry, your thoughts.
Yeah, it's really good. There's so much. There's so much to take here. I think one of the things that maybe closely related, kind of in the same vein, and I think you talked about it a little bit in here. I just was thinking about, I think Gary Vee kind of talks about this of like the goal when you're, the goal is like the journey. It's not the end point, right? Like we all have this like goal in our mind of like we want to go here, we want to make this much money, we want to make this much impact. But like if you can learn to like embrace the journey, if you can learn to like focus on just what you're doing now and what you're accomplishing right now, and not so much just stay tied to that big mountain that's way down the road, but focus on what you're doing right now and learn to like love it through as you're going through it, and embrace it. I mean, I think that's where the real like happiness and fulfillment is, right?
Mm.
Is like being able to wake up each day and just embrace what you're doing today, understand that it's part of the journey, understand that you're going to hit those obstacles, those setbacks, and there's going to be days when you have huge wins, and it's all part of that journey. And if you can live in that moment and you can embrace it, you can enjoy it, you can celebrate, and you can realize also just part of it, like realizing that when you're in a down season, when you're not just financially, but if you're in just a tougher season, you're going through obstacles, man. I've been there.
Same.
Gosh, this year, I've been through so much this year, and just realizing I have to remind myself and remember that there is another season coming. There is a better season coming. And I believe when you have one of those down seasons, it always gives way to an up season. It always gives way to a better season. And so, and it just ebbs and flows. And just remembering that, having that outlook, I think will help you embrace the journey as a whole.
So true. Very, very well said. And it reminds me of something that I hear quite commonly from my students. And every time I hear it, it makes me so happy. They say, I'm having fun. I'm having fun. It
Yeah.
like makes me smile. It puts a smile on my face because I'm like, yes, yes, yes. That is the energy you need to embody. Like, sure, there's going to be some days where it's not fun. And I promise you, there's going to be days where you want to quit. There's days where I want to quit. There's days where everyone wants to quit, right? It's human nature. But if overall you are having fun, like you are enjoying what you're doing, I see a more clear path forward for you than someone who is angry and disgruntled and just hates every minute of it and like thinks of every challenge as just a huge setback, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay, moving on to lesson number 3 of 5. And this one is really, I believe, something that like I heard this and I was like, it helped me so much. And I tell this to my students a lot too, because I think it's going to help you when you come across resistance from people in your community, people online, all that sort of stuff. And that is attract the best, attract the best, repel the rest. So I want to give a little case study. I actually want to share a story from one of my students. This is very recent. This was actually on our most recent group coaching call. That was last week. We had our most recent group coaching call for T-Shirt Legends Academy. And I have a student in the hiking niche who has created an incredible brand. She's made a lot of sales. She's grown very quickly on Instagram. She has almost 12,000 followers last time I checked, gotten millions upon millions of views on her content. And she's just done like such an incredible job creating content and designs that really resonate with her target audience. And recently, she came to Carlos and I because her brand was actually being harassed by some random person on the internet who was not a customer. This person had never bought from her, and they were just harassing the brand. And I'm not going to go into details about it, but we spoke about this on the group coaching call for quite a while. Like it was quite a long conversation. And that was the advice that I gave her. Attract the best, repel the rest. Because the thing is, like, I want to give a little bit more context. So she wanted to craft a response to this person. And I told her that she was wasting her time. The person had bad intentions. They'll very likely never be a customer. They were harassing her. Like, is that who you want? Like supporting your brand. And I told her that her time would be much better spent serving the many people who love and support her brand, which is a lot. And sadly, like there is harassment and bullying online. Let's just call a spade a spade. We're going to, like, if you put yourself out there, expect some resistance. Like it
It's part
comes
of the
with it.
game for sure.
What's that?
Like it's part of the game.
It's
If
part of
you're
the
getting into
game.
it, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it comes with the territory, right? And I heard a quote recently that really helped me. It said, have thick skin and a soft heart." And that's really how I feel about like online harassment, right? Proportionally, I think it's a very small percentage of people that are actually doing this. I'm of the belief that most humans are good people, but there is that small percent who always seem to be the loudest and they seem to be everywhere. One in 100 people that I don't know what's going on in their life. They probably aren't very happy. The fact that they're writing negative stuff, harassing a hiking brand, like makes me think that there's a lot more to this story. And I, you know, but that doesn't mean that any brand should have to tolerate this. Like, protect your energy, protect your peace. If anyone gives you bad vibes, like, no, you don't have to tolerate it. And one thing that I really want to emphasize is don't take it personally. Many times, this feedback, this harassment, this is coming from people that are hurting. This is coming from people that are projecting their own insecurities. I mean, you talk to a lot of really successful entrepreneurs, and none of them are online harassing people. Like, it's just so few of them. Like, Kerry, have you ever gone and just started throwing shade on some random account?
Oh yeah, definitely. No,
All the time. All the
no,
time.
no, no. I think it's again, Gary Vee talks about like the haters are often hurt themselves. They're very hurt people, and they're trying to project that hurt onto others.
Yeah.
And it's really sad. It's really sad because we take it as like we get like a hater comment. We're like, "F these guys, like they suck." But it's actually like, man, I feel really bad for you that you are in such a low place that you have to go rip somebody else online. Like that's pretty sad,
Yeah.
for real. Like
No,
not
I
being
100%,
sarcastic, not
man.
as a sarcastic comment. It's like it is very sad. Like I hope I never am in a place in my life where I feel like I am so low that I have to just shred others and just, you know,
Yeah, man. I wish I could just send them love and like
absolutely.
hope that they can heal, right? They can
Yeah.
heal and change. And I think that they'll probably be a lot happier if they do that. But it's also because online there's not as much accountability. You're hiding behind a laptop. You don't have to give your name. You don't have to share your face, right? A lot of
Yeah.
these people are saying things they would never say to your face,
True.
and it's how it is. It comes with the territory, but you don't have to tolerate it. And so, the good news is that your brand, your social media accounts, your email list, this is your corner of the internet, and you can choose who gets access. Not everyone is going to be the perfect customer, and not everyone you're going to want in there bringing the bad energy and the bad vibes, right? If the vibes are off, do something about it, right? I actually don't recommend responding to those people. Now, obviously, if it's an unhappy customer and they're talking about the quality or something like that, then you do, like,
Yeah.
they did support you. And many times you can actually turn those people into huge brand advocates just by giving them a good experience. So
Mhm.
those people I would, but if people are just on there to bully and harass you and they're not even a customer, like, just protect your energy, protect your peace. You don't need to tolerate that bullying and harassment, and you shouldn't. So I just want to make that very, very clear. And that's kind of what I wanted to say mostly about this point: attract the best, repel the rest. I feel like it needed to be said because I don't feel like it's spoken enough about on kind of like out there in the world. And I think a lot of people just take it. They'll leave those comments up. They'll try to respond. They'll let it really affect their energy.
Mhm.
They'll let it affect their peace. They'll have sleepless nights over it. They'll get stress or anxiety over it. And I want you to know that this, it doesn't have to be that way. It absolutely does not have to be that way. Any final thoughts on that, Kerry?
No, I mean it always hurts, but it's like no matter what level you get to, like it always like hurts. But yeah, I mean I feel like I've gotten really thick skin over the years of being like a content creator, whatever, online personality. Like I get haters all the time. Like it
Same,
just is
man.
what it is. It's like I've just gotten so I guess thick skinned about it that it's just like I understand that those people, they're just hating to hate. and so I just kind of just brush it off.
Yeah. Never
How
take
about
it
you?
personally. There's another great book that I wasn't going to reference in this episode, but I'm going to because it's amazing. It's called The Four Agreements. And one of the four agreements is never take anything personally. And it was something that I needed to hear. I needed to hear when I first read that book. And I actually read that book regularly as just kind of like a little bump, a little pick me up when I need it. It's not too long of a book. And I've read it many times, but I really love that point. Never take things personally. All right, we're going to move to lesson number 4. This one is from one of my favorite books of all time. I mean, I'm dropping a lot of my favorite books of all time, but this is one that every entrepreneur needs to read, like the 4-Hour Work Week. It's called Atomic Habits. It's an incredible book. And the quote from Atomic Habits from James Clear is, "Success is a result of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformations." So let me explain. Contrary to what you see online, print on demand is not a get rich quick strategy. And I just want to make that, like, I wish I could scream that to the rooftop, because sadly, there's a lot of people out there toting it as a get rich quick strategy. And I don't know all their intentions,
Mm.
but I feel like they're not very authentic. And it hurts because it reflects poorly on every content creator, every coach, people actually trying to make a difference, people actually trying to change lives and help people take the action they need to take, right? And
Yeah.
it gives print on demand a bad rep. But it's a business just like any other business. Print on demand at its core is just a fraction of the process. It's just outsourcing the fulfillment process, right? Like, you build a brand around the print on demand model. I won't go too much into weeds about this, but I just want to remind everyone, like, when you're starting a print on demand business or t-shirt or apparel business, maybe you're printing from home or using a third-party fulfillment company, you're building a legitimate business here. You are building a valuable asset that hopefully increases in value over time. And this is going to look different for everyone. Some people, it's going to remain a side hustle. Some people are just going to take it to a whole other level, retire from their job and just do this full time and start a career out of it. Some people are going to exit and they're going to sell their brand. But I want everyone to have this mindset that, like, your success will not happen overnight. And, I've heard another good quote that says, uh, consistency negates luck. And what I realize is those people who have really quick, large income spikes in their business, this has totally been my experience. It never happened overnight, but it happens very, very quickly. And what I mean by that is, like, for my example, my first business started, completely failed. My second business, I worked very hard, and within 8 months, I was able to get it to 6 figures, and I was very quickly able to get it to multiple 6 figures. But it took 8 months to get to the first 6 figures, and it probably only started really taking off after 6 or 7 months of trial and error and experimentation and optimization and consistently dropping new designs. It didn't happen overnight. And I don't want to give any illusions, because it's just setting a precedence that if everyone thinks it's that way, then they're going to be much quicker to give up in the first 30, 60, or 90 days. And I don't want to be the person that says that, oh, 30 days, you're going to be a millionaire. No, like, I don't know any people that, like, in their first 30 days, they just absolutely took it to a whole new level. Now, it's not to say that they don't exist, and some of them do exist. Like, I do have one student who went from $0 to $35,000 in print on demand sales in the first 60 days of starting their business. And they were new to print on demand, working full time, had a family and everything, right? And they actually recently surpassed $200,000 in sales in 9 months.
That's
And
good.
I celebrate the heck out of them. Like, I'm so happy for them. I love this for them and their family. And they're very inspiring to others in the T-Shirt Legends Academy community, because they had success pretty quickly. But I just want to set the record straight. Like, I love that for them. They are an exception. Like, this is not how it is for most people. The level of growth, it's not usually like the level of growth that you have early on doesn't actually usually dictate your long-term success. I think it's staying power and constantly taking more hits at bat, right? Like constantly releasing new designs, constantly trying your marketing, analyzing what's working, optimizing, and doing more of what's working and doing less of what's not. This person, they created a winning design and they leveraged tools in their tool belt, marketing strategies that we teach to take it very quickly to a whole other level. But like, I even tell my students this, like, this person is an exception to the rule. Like, most people are not going to get to $35,000 in revenue in their first 60 days. And that's okay because everyone is on their own journey. Kerry, before I go any further, I want to just stop here and kind of hear your thoughts.
Man, that's such a good point. Man, this is something I teach. I teach when it comes to content a lot, like when it comes to like putting out content, because it's not, like you said, it's not you're not, you want things to go viral. Yeah. Like you want things to get a lot of views, but views don't always mean anything. You know what I mean? Like views are just views. It's a vanity metric. And I think when it comes to like growing a base, whether it's an your email list, your Instagram account, your any following, right? It just takes time and consistency, and it's just not like a overnight thing typically. You know what I mean? And like I said, sometimes when you do get that overnight burst, it can be a curse. Like it's not always like super positive. It's again, you get this big flood of likes, views, whatever, maybe even followers, but then you find out, oh, these weren't the actual followers that I wanted or whatever. I would reference a story when I was really early on in my t-shirt journey. I had a lot of, I think like my third month, I think we did like 30K in sales. This is like 8 years ago. Like my third month, we did like 30K in sales. And a couple months later, we were at like 3K in sales.
Mm,
And I was like, what happened? Like we were cooking.
right.
But the reality was like I didn't get to go through all the different seasons and stages to actually learn how to properly run and grow a t-shirt or print on demand business. I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was like the sales crashed, and then I was just like, well, I didn't build a real business. I just got lucky.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I had to learn over the next like 2 years how to like slowly grow that business back to where it was and surpass that, and like what that took and what systems I needed in place and how to market it and what strategies to use and like how to grow my email list.
Mm,
Because before that, when I had that big surge, like I was just pumping Facebook ads, just
right.
pumping them. And then it was like, oh crap, I need an email list. I need to learn how to actually do email marketing. I need to learn all these other strategies, how to grow my organic and how to do content and how to, all these different things. And so yeah, like I think I would even say it this way, like overnight success, it's possible, it can be awesome, but like you want the consistency. You will look back and you will be like, man, I'm so glad that I went through that. Man, I'm so glad that I learned those skills along the way. And I would just also say this good kind of word for me in the season that I'm in is you don't know what you're going through right now is probably a stepping stone to a completely unrelated opportunity
Mm,
or something that you didn't know would be there. Whatever you're working on right now, that might not be what you're working on in 5 years. And in 5 years, you might go, oh man, I'm in a totally different world, totally different opportunity, but I couldn't be here without all the things that I learned over the last 5 years. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Whereas if you just have this get rich quick or whatever, this overnight success, it's like, what did you really learn? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Oh man, all right, man. You just triggered another quote, man. I'm dropping
You're
another
the quote
quote.
man. You're the
I,
quote man. We already know this.
what you just said, I want to share a quote from Steve Jobs that if anyone hasn't listened to his, I think it's his 2005 Stanford commencement speech on YouTube, go check it out. Super inspiring. But one of the quotes that really connected with me in that video, which I've watched too many times to count, he says, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward."
Wow.
And what he was doing, he was emphasizing the importance of trusting your journey and experiences as the meaning and connection often become clear in retrospect when you actually look back on it. And yeah, just a powerful quote about like, we don't know, right? Like action brings clarity. And many times it's only when you look backwards that you realize, oh, wow, doing that action, taking that action, doing that thing has led to so much happiness, joy, fulfillment, whatever it is. And I only know that looking backwards. I don't know that looking forward. And I always thought that was a really powerful quote.
That's
But
really good.
but yeah, going back to the lesson, success is a result of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformations. The way that I like to explain this is it's like gardening. The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. And
Mhm.
when people do see very, very quick income spikes, it's not usually many times in the first 30 days, but they might have been going at it like hard for 60, 90, 120 days, even longer before their sales go from, $100 a day or even less to in the thousands. That's because it can take time to find that kind of winning design that you can scale up profitably with marketing, to take your brand to a next level. Like the success can happen quick, but it rarely happens overnight. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make. So I think what people need to do is take a long-term lens approach, even though we all want you to have quick success. We all want you to scale up very quickly. Like we want that for everybody. However, if you think long term and just commit to the process and commit to getting 1% better every day, this is going to help you get there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Any other thoughts on that, Kerry?
No, so good.
All right. So let's bring it home here with lesson number 5. And this one is huge. I think you'll agree, Kerry, but I'm really curious to hear your perspective. Lesson number 5 is that growth happens outside of the comfort zone. So here's what I want to say about this. At any given moment, we have two options: to step back into comfort or to step forward into growth. That's not my own words. That is a quote from, I think, Abraham Maslow, which I've always thought was really, really powerful. And it's human nature to want to be comfortable. That is our monkey mind trying to protect us. And this goes way back to the caveman days where we were worried when we went for walks about being jumped by a saber-toothed tiger and killed. Right? It's like our monkey mind, it's meant to protect us. And
I still worry about that. Just
it
so you know.
still exists. We all worry about it. Like we all still have that. It's innate in us. And the way you got to look at it is like your brain is trying to protect you. That is human nature. But what I've realized looking back on my entrepreneurial journey is that my biggest periods of growth have happened outside the comfort zone. I was scared so many times, man. I was scared about starting this podcast. I was scared about starting a new print on demand business. I was scared about coaching. I was scared about creating content, but I felt the fear and did it anyway. And I think that's really what separates a lot of people that are so close to kind of stepping into who they're supposed to be. And they let that fear, they let that monkey mind that's meant for protection hold them back from taking the actions that many times they know they need to do. So, when you make a decision to start a business, when you launch your website, when you start marketing your products and your brand, when you create a winning product and go from spending $15 a day to $500 a day on paid ads, it's scary, but hopefully it's also exciting. But you'll probably have some butterflies leading up to these things. But that was always like the fork in the road where I saw the most growth, where I was like, all right, this is uncomfortable. My monkey mind is trying to protect me. But you know what? I feel good about this and I'm going to do it anyways. And that's kind of what I realized about the most successful entrepreneurs. They experience the same emotions as everyone else. They're scared too. Kerry, I'm sure you have lots of stories where you were really scared to put yourself out there and start something new. But what I realize about successful people, the successful entrepreneurs that I know, you included, Kerry, are they feel the fear and do it anyway. As Bob Proctor says, I love Bob Proctor, by the way, he says, break through the terror barrier. And he's referencing that, like, you're going to feel scared. Do it anyway. And I want to kind of end off here with a quote, and then I want to hear your thoughts, Kerry. This is a really good quote that I heard. It says, courage is not the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act despite the fear. Over to you, Kerry.
Whew, man, lots of gold in there. Man, what I would say to hopefully add to what you're saying is, you take like the ad thing, being scared of ramping up from $10 a day to $100 a day, from $100 a day to $1,000 a day. When you make those level ups, and ad spend is such like small, a small like mindset level up. But when you make those level ups, when you embrace the fear and you do it anyway, just like you said, that you experience that growth, and then it becomes your comfort zone. You like now you have a new level, a new comfort zone,
Right.
right? That's I think is what's really interesting is, if you go back in my journey, any number of years, 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, 15 years. I mean, I go back in my mind all the time to working my full-time job, and thinking about where I was at, where my wife and I were at in our marriage, where our family was at, and having our son who's now 9 years old, and he was a newborn baby. I literally left my full-time job when he was like less than one. I mean, he was like
Mhm.
a tiny baby. But I go back to that time and I just think about like who I was, where I was at, and having to step into the growth, start the business, and have the kid, and go through financial struggles and all the different things, and just like all that, and embracing it and like stepping into it. And then you stop and you go, wait, now I'm at a new level. Okay, I've reached a new level. This might just be one step up from where I was. And then you go for a little bit and you're like, it feels good here.
Right.
It's comfortable. What do I want? What do I want to accomplish now? What do I want to do now? Is there a new level I want to go to? And if you do decide that you want to go to a new level, there is going to be struggle. There is going to be, you know, obstacles that you have to overcome. Embrace it. Get out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to do things that you don't want to do, that are not easy, that don't come natural to you. But then you embrace it and you hit that new level of growth and you go, I'm comfortable now. Another example I would give to you is like I have a YouTube channel. We have almost 40,000 subscribers. It's been really awesome. We've been growing it for the last 5 years ish, almost 5 years, probably like 4.5 years of being consistent on YouTube. The first time I made a YouTube video, it was like if you don't know how to build a house and you just have to build a house from scratch. It's like I don't know how to operate a camera. I don't know
Yeah.
how to operate a light or where to put the light. I don't know how to any of the settings inside of the camera. I don't know how to set it up. I don't know how to use a microphone. I don't know how to set up a background. If I can get through all those obstacles, guess what? I have no idea how to talk on camera. I'm an idiot. I am like nervous, all these things. And it's like, you got to overcome that. And just the fear. It's like you're trying to record a video and you're shaking, like I'm going to put this out on the internet, and then you put out your first video. And then you get through all that struggling and you put out your second video. But when you put out your second video, it's a little bit easier. Put out your third one, your fourth one, your fifth one. You get to that about 10th video and you're like, man, all right, like this took me an hour instead of 5 hours. Sweet. Right. Or whatever.
Right.
Then you get to your 100th video and you're like, this is muscle memory. Like, I'm like, I live on camera. I wake up and turn on the light and just turn on the camera and go. Like, it's like, let's go, baby. Like, it's nothing. You know what I mean? We're doing a podcast and yeah, it's like we just crank them out, but that's my point here is that like you just do it more and more, then it becomes your comfort zone. Then me and Adrian, we're doing this podcast and we're talking to each other and we're like, okay, what do we do to go to the next level? Well, it's going to require doing things that are uncomfortable. It's going to require more struggle, more obstacles for us to get to that next level with this podcast or whatever. So I love this. I think it's great. It's always going to require growth is always going to require getting outside of your comfort zone. Like you said, I did want to say this when I started, I'm going way long, but there are times in your journey where you're going to say, I feel really good and I'm comfortable here. And that's okay. Like I have embraced those. I've had years where I've just went, man, I'm great here. Like, let's just keep it rolling. You know what I mean? And I think you always want to be growing as a person, but just in your business in general, you might hit a revenue level. You might hit a success level where you're just like, I'm good. I want to stay here for a little bit. You don't want to embrace the struggles that come with going to the next level. And I just want to say, like, I think that's okay. I think it's okay to say, I'm here for a while. Yes, there's going to be another level or another opportunity, but like, I'm just going to stay here for a while because I'm good here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Great perspective. Great perspective. I really like what you said there, especially about like when you first started out. Like, my old content is so
It's so
cringe.
bad. Not
I
yours,
I
mine.
I
Mine.
don't like looking at it. My original YouTubes, my original Instagrams, my original TikToks. It's so cringe. But you
So
know
cringe.
what? Action brings clarity. You commit to getting 1% better with every day.
Have you heard Pat Flynn's quote on that?
No,
He
I haven't.
says,
Let's hear it.
"You have to be cringe before they'll binge."
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes.
You have to be
Yes. We need
cringe
like a
before
round of
they'll
applause
binge.
soundbite for that.
Yeah. So good.
I love that. All right. Well, as we land the plane here, what I want to do is I just want to summarize the 5 lessons, because I feel like we actually went quite a bit in depth here. And I just hope that if this helps even one entrepreneur who's been on the fence take the action they know they need to take, then this episode was well worth it, because we want to help people help themselves. Like we're happy to be your guide, but you have to be your own hero. And so I hope that this episode really helped you. If it did, feel free to save it, download it, listen to it again and again. Anytime you need a little pick me up, because we all need a little pick me up at times. Let's be honest. No matter how big you get, I think you're always going to need it. I know I do. So to summarize the 5 lessons here, lesson 1, start before you're ready. Lesson 2, honor the struggle. Lesson 3, attract the best, repel the rest. Lesson number 4, success is a result of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformations. And lesson 5, growth happens outside the comfort zone. There are actually so many more powerful lessons that I learned. I knew that even just 5 was going to be a long episode. So I really cut it down. I have an endless note of lessons that help me as an entrepreneur. And I would be happy to share those in future episodes. This is something that I share. I just share the quotes a lot on Instagram that really help me. And these quotes here are in there, but I have so many more. So if you do enjoy this episode, I want to just ask for a favor. If you enjoy this episode and you want more like it, if you want more powerful lessons learned building 7-figure brands, please shoot me a DM on Instagram at Ecom Legends Academy. Let me know that you enjoyed it. And that's the feedback that I need to go and be like, okay, we're going to come out with more future episodes like this. If I do receive a number of messages, I'll definitely make a follow-up, a part 2. And if people are loving it, we'll come out with part 3 and 4 and 5, and it'll be different lessons every time. So with that, we're going to wrap it up for this episode. I hope you guys loved it. You guys are awesome. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. Now go out there, take action, start before you're ready. And remember that you're always just one design away. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us an honest review on whichever platform you are listening from. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you very soon.